What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy back at you with another video. Alright, so today, the mighty Tim Duncan retires from the NBA. It's crazy just how awesome his career has been, just how accomplished he's been throughout his career. Um, it's amazing that the biggest criticism that you've gotten your entire career is that you don't show enough emotion. That's how you know you've truly had a very excellent career. Um, it's really just crazy. So he was drafted in the 97-98 season to the San Antonio Spurs, a team that had David Robinson and a couple other pieces. And that San Antonio Spurs team was never able to get over the hump. They were always a pretty good playoff team, but they were never able to I don't even think they had made it to the finals prior. But I know they would make playoff runs and always be a routine second round and out or whatever. They were never the team to beat or whatever, even though they had David Robinson, who was considered. No, they used to make it to the Western Conference Finals because I remember when the Rockets won the championship, how Hakeem gave it to David Robinson after David Robinson won the MVP. But with that aside, and which is another thing, David Robinson had won the MVP, but they still didn't make the finals. And that just leads me to when they drafted Tim Duncan. They get Tim Duncan, and immediately they win the championship. And then I know a lot of people were thinking, okay, well, they have those two great players, the Twin Towers or whatever. That's why they were able to win. So they win, and then I think they win twice, and then David Robinson retires, and then Tim Duncan's there, and then they're still winning 50 or more games every season. And then R.C. Buford steps in, and all these great Spurs executives, and they go start scouting across the world. So Argentina has this guy who not a lot of people, which is interesting because it's amazing when you have a good player overseas nowadays. Like I will always use Ricky Rubio as an example because I heard so much about how awesome Ricky Rubio was going to be and how he was going to take the league by storm, and it just didn't pan out. And I was irritated that it didn't pan out because I had to hear for years how cold Ricky Rubio was in Spain, and how he was young and how he was just going to give it to everybody in the NBA. But anyway, that's besides the point. I had not heard of Manu Ginobli, so he was ended up being a second round pick, which I didn't understand. Obviously, even though a fan or somebody who pays a lot of attention to basketball would know that, you would think executives and scouts and whatever would know better. But they get him in the second round. They bring him over, and he's amazing. They bring him off the bench most of the time. He's a lefty. Nobody can really stay in front of him. He scores, and then he's an intense competitor. So they get him a second round pick, and then they get a late first round pick in Tony Parker, a point guard who people said, even though he was really quick and athletic and stuff or whatever, he couldn't shoot. So nobody believed he would be able to play point guard in the NBA. And these players who weren't even like big time athletes, hyped up athletes or whatever, you pair them with Tim Duncan, and they create what a lot of people toyed around with calling a dynasty. The only reason people never call San Antonio a dynasty is because they never won consecutive championships. But it was a time period, 2003, 2005, 2007, where it was like every other year they were the team winning, which is just insane. How that team has been able to win championships. They won 5 championships. And how the greatness just lasts the test of time. It just keeps going, and the reason for that is Tim Duncan. Okay, so let's go over a couple of Tim Duncan's accomplishments. It's not even everything, but 5-time NBA championship, like I was saying earlier. 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, and 2014. 2014 with the Heat. 2007 with LeBron again with the Cavs. 2005 with the Pistons, and the Pistons were not chopped liver. They're coming off a championship where they upset the Lakers, the loaded Lakers with Karl Malone and Gary Payton. They won in 2003 and they won in 1999, beating the Knicks. So 5 championships, and through that span of time is pretty remarkable. Just shows you how they were able to sustain, and the reason they were able to sustain is because the central figure was the mighty Tim Duncan. All right, so 3-time Finals MVP. I believe for the other 2 championships, it was Tony Parker, I believe, and Kawhi Leonard in the last one when his defense against LeBron, and then he also just played excellently in that series. 2-time most valuable player of the league. So that speaks for itself. It could have easily been more. Just in my time watching basketball, and it could go any way because Nash got 2. And in my opinion, Nash was never really the most valuable player. That Phoenix team was very popular back in the day. That running gun offense, D'Antoni. They played fast. They played a lot of possessions. They got a lot of possessions in their games. They scored high. It was entertaining basketball to watch, and Nash was the poster boy of that. So he won those 2 MVPs or whatever. But it's difficult to honestly say that, okay, Steve Nash scoring like 15 points or 16 points and 11 assists had a better season than a Tim Duncan or a Shaq or Kobe Bryant to a lesser extent or whatever. Because Kobe, and a lot of people argue that Kobe could have won 1 or 2 of those MVPs that Nash got, but in all honesty, first round knockout one year, and I believe that other year, even though Kobe had a ridiculously high scoring average, I don't even think they made the playoffs. So it's interesting. And then Shaq, Shaq dominant, of course, and Tim Duncan's been right there. Always the best player in the NBA during that time period, or like arguably the second or whatever. But he's always been at the top. His whole career, he's been just at the top of the NBA or whatever. And like over the past couple of years, you start to see the decline. But like I said, it's a couple of years because he was also a huge part of that Spurs team making it to the finals, who lost to the Heat, even though they very easily could have won because that game 6 they were in position to win when LeBron brought the Heat back. And then even though he kind of whatever at the end probably had a turnover or 2 and whatever, and then Ray Allen hit the shot, went to overtime, and then naturally they ended up winning. He was big in that series in getting them in position to win. And then that next year, when they lost, and then they came roaring back the next year to destroy the Heat in 5 games, he was a big part of that. So he's just now starting to look human on the court. You know what I mean? As far as him declining or whatever, but he's been a steady force in the NBA for many years. Okay, so where was I? So 2-time NBA most valuable player, 15-time All-Star, 1-time All-Star Game MVP. I'm not that big on that. All-Star Game MVPs kind of like. 10-time All-NBA first teamer. All right. Now that's a big deal to me because that means of the 19 years, 10 of those years you were unquestionably one of the 2 best forwards in the NBA. All right. Then you add to that a 3-time All-NBA second teamer, and then a 2-time All-NBA third teamer. And most recently, 2015 is when he was one of his All-NBA third teams. So you see, it's 15 All-NBA teams that this guy has made over a 19-year career. Okay, so he has 8 All-NBA defensive team, first team, and then he has 7 All-NBA second team. So 15 All-NBA defensive teams, which is crazy once again out of 19 years. Rookie of the Year in 1998, and the Spurs all-time leading scorer. It's insane. Yeah, once again, I can't say enough about how excellent, and excellent is like the only way I could really describe the type of career this guy has had in this league. When you've been able to dominate a basketball league, a sports league for that amount of time, it's just an amazing feat. And then also you can take it back to college, because I also remember back when Tim Duncan was at Wake Forest, there was like 2 years where like every NBA or almost every NBA broadcast, whether it was NBA on NBC or whatever, where a side conversation would creep in there about, oh, Tim Duncan, what he's gonna do when he gets here from Wake Forest. And this guy's 2 years, in college. He stays the 2 years, the 2 extra years, knowing that the NBA is like salivating over getting him into the draft. It's just an amazing. I always hoped that he would win the national championship in college, because that would have been very fitting for him and his career. You know what I mean? Because he basically achieved excellence on every level, so it would have just been right for him to also have a national championship. He doesn't have a national championship in college, but he was the National College Player of the Year, two-time consensus first team All-American, three-time NABC Defensive Player of the Year, two-time ACC Player of the Year, and has his jersey retired. So, and those are just some accomplishments I pulled off the internet real quick. And it's not even everything. There was more. That's just the stuff I just wanted to talk about. I wanted to touch on this video. But yeah, the NBA will miss Tim Duncan. Naturally, there are other stars that are coming and taking over. There are other stars on that Spurs team. Of course, Kawhi Leonard, and of course, LaMarcus Aldridge, which they were very fortunate to get in free agency last year. But this video was just to kind of celebrate Tim Duncan's career. Very excellent player. He's an all-time great player. Like, it's gonna be top 10. I don't know where he will place in the top 10, but he's definitely a top 10 player in this league, in the history of this game. Just a very excellent player. Just an amazing career, basically. So anyway, let me know what you think about this video. Subscribe to the page. The website's coming back. Hopefully, I can go ahead and drop the update today. If it is, it'll be on my Twitter page, and this video will definitely be on there. But yeah, subscribe, like the video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree. I know I kind of ranked some people a little bit, and if I didn't, I would definitely, among the recently retired players, and basically other than LeBron, Tim Duncan is gonna rank the highest in the historic top 10 for the NBA. He's gonna rank higher than Kobe. He's gonna rank higher than Shaq. He's gonna rank higher than just about anybody else. LeBron is probably the only recent player that's gonna be higher up on that list. But Tim Duncan's gonna be up there as well. All right. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment, subscribe. All right. See you next time.